Hi friends and welcome back to Garfin's creation. Today we'll be making an orange fruity bread. In this bread I have used fruit peels, the ones which we soak for Christmas cake. So let's start and make this awesome and flavorful fruity bread today. To begin with, first we'll activate the yeast. I have taken 3/4 cup of lukewarm water. To this I'll be adding 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 teaspoons of yeast. To be 100% sure, I always like to activate the yeast first. I'll just stir this and keep this for 5 to 7 minutes till it gets activated and get a little bit frothy. You can use instant or active yeast as well. So now I'll just cover and let it be there for some time till it gets nice and frothy. For today's fruity bread, I'll be using the Christmas peel that we usually soak for the Christmas cake. These were soaked in rum, so I will just drain off the excess liquid from it and be using just half a cup of these peels. To substitute this, you can use Truity in place of these peels, or you can also use just raisins as well. The yeast is activated. After 10 minutes, you can see that it gets a bit frothy. To this, I'll be adding 1/4 teaspoon of orange essence and just a tiny drop of orange food color. Adding the food color is totally optional. Depending on how strong your orange essence is, you can even add 1/2 teaspoon of orange essence. Now to this, I'll be sieving 2.5 cups of Maida or all-purpose flour. You will find the complete recipe with all the ingredients and their measurements in the description box below. Once I have finished sieving the Maida, I'll be adding 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of milk powder and 1 tablespoon of orange zest. I have just grated the skin of the orange and have taken 1 tablespoon of it. Just combine all the ingredients together now. Adding milk powder to the bread will make it nice and tasty. So just in case if you do not have milk powder, you can now knead this with warm milk. I have taken around 1/2 cup of a little warm water and I'll be adding it gradually and just kneading it. I have used a little less than 1/2 cup of water. So depending on your Maida, you might require 1/4 to 1/2 cup of warm water. Add the water gradually till it forms a nice dough. Once the dough is come together, I'll be adding 1 tablespoon of butter along with 1 tablespoon of oil. Mix that as well and knead it to a nice soft dough. I will just knead this now for around 5 minutes and it will get nice and soft. You can also add 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon powder along with the dry ingredients. So now I have kneaded the dough for 5 minutes. I'll just tuck it from below and place it in the same bowl. And now I will keep this for proofing and let it rise till it doubles in size. Depending on the weather, it might take around 1 hour to 70 minutes. So now after 70 minutes, you can see the dough is doubled in size. I'll just take it out on a rolling mat and just press it a little bit slightly. Once this is done, I'll be adding the fruit peels which were getting drained. This is 1/2 cup of the fruit peels. If you do not like the rum flavor in your bread, you can always skip it and just add the fruit peels or even Truity. So now I just place it in the center and I will just knead it lightly so that all the fruits are mixed well into the dough. So if you have some leftover fruit peels from your Christmas cake, try making this bread and I'm sure you will like it. I'll also be sharing the link on how to soak these fruit peels. So do check the description box for all the details. Once all the fruits are mixed well, I'll just gather it together and I will just dust the counter again with some flour. I have used Maida for dusting. I will now spread the dough with my hands only. into a long rectangle. And the width of this rectangle will be the size of your loaf tin. So just spreading it evenly till I get a nice long rectangle. So I have taken a 8.5 by 3.5 loaf tin. It has a height of 3.5 inches as well. I greased it with some oil and put a butter paper inside. Since I wanted to make a taller bread, I'll just reduce the size of it by adding an aluminum foil and leave around 1 inch from the side. And just to give it some support, I'll be adding a small steel katori at the side. You can use the whole size or even use a smaller cake loaf. So the width of the dough is the same as the length of the loaf tin. You can always use a smaller loaf tin if you have. This will give a good height to the bread. I will now roll this inwards and roll it into a log. Once this is done, I will just pinch the bottom part where it is open and seal it well. You can use the whole size of the tin as well, but then you won't get a good height to your bread loaf. So now this will become 7.5 by 3.5 inch loaf pan. Just place the dough in and just flatten it to the corners as well. Once this is done, I'll just place a towel and let this rise again for at least half an hour to 40 minutes. Approximately after 40 minutes, the bread is well risen. To give it a nice brown color on top, I'll be brushing it with some milk. You can also use an egg wash here. You will need to preheat your oven at 170 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes. And now this will go into the oven to be baked for around 50 to 60 minutes till it gets a nice brown color on top. I had used both the heating coils with the fan on to bake this. As all ovens are different, you need to keep a watch on it after half an hour. So this has got a nice brown color on top, and I've taken it out from the oven and kept it on a cooling rack. I will just brush it with some butter on top so that the crust remains soft. You could also use some oil in place of butter. I'll place a towel over it and let it be here for at least 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I will just run a knife all through around the bread so that it releases it quickly. You need to be careful as the bread tin is still hot. Once that is done, just turn the bread mold and the bread will be out. Since we have used a butter paper below, the bread comes out easily once it is baked. So now I'll keep it on the cooling rack and let it cool completely and then slice it. Once the bread is completely cool, use a sharp serrated knife to get good slices from the bread. You can enjoy this bread with a hot cup of tea or coffee. You can also add some butter or even toast it. So this is another way how you can use your leftover Christmas fruit peels to make this lovely orange fruity bread. This smells so heavenly and it's so soft and spongy and so delicious. I hope you give this recipe a try and do leave your comments below. Thanks for watching and do subscribe to Garfin's Creation to get more such lovely recipes in the future. And see you soon in the next recipe. Till then, take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.